Hey guys, welcome back to the next part of our series. Today we're going to continue with the details, so let's get to it. Now this is where we left off with our very nice minotaur right here, and now it's time that we start working on details. Now, last time we did details with the skull, we just threw in like a quick alpha over the whole thing because I just wanted to show you the basics of it. Now we're actually going to go in here and I'm going to show you the proper technique that we normally use to detail a character. So the first thing that you need to understand is that for proper detail to be shown on the model, you are going to need quite a bit of polygons. So in this case, since we're working with subdivision levels, it's very easy to go to the last subdivision level, which we are right now. We should be about subdivision level 4. And I'm just going to press Ctrl D to add another subdivision level. Now we're at 3.034 million points. They're actually not polygons. Each one of this, I think, counts as 2 polygons. So this will be like 6 million polygons. And this will allow us to have a very, very nice effect. So let's start with the eyes. There will be certain details that you won't be able to get with an alpha. And these are the sort of details that you really want to go in here and do by yourself. So for instance, like the little nice lines around the eyes, like the eye bags right here, those are the kind of things that you really want to sculpt by hand because they're going to give your sculptor a lot of life, a lot of personality, and a very nice artistic look to the whole thing. Now, there are some alphas that you can use to help yourself in this endeavor. And the way to do or use them is the following. I'm going to press B, S, and T to go into my standard brush. I'm going to change this to drag direct. I'm going to go into Lightbox. And if I go now into my alpha sections, there are a couple of alphas that come preloaded with ZBrush, like this Leathery Skin 67, which is like an elephant eye. So I'm going to double click right here, or double click, and this should load this on my alpha channel right here. I'm going to press comma, which will turn off the light box. And now if I go to the other eye, which is the same one of course, and I drag this thing here, you're gonna see how we can drag all of this beautiful detail from the alpha into our eye right there. Now the problem is we're right now at C add and this looks a little bit weird, so we'll change this to C sub and I'm actually gonna lower the intensity a little bit. Now when I do this, you're gonna see how very easily we can add a lot of texture to the eye without much effort. We can do the same thing on the top side like this. Nice. Now we can of course smooth some of the detail out if we don't want it, or even everything. Just like soften this up a little bit if we don't want as much. But see how easy it is to get this detail? That's the kind of detail that I like to call the tertiary detail, the micro detail, which is detail that you can get very, very quickly. So let's do a quick pass of this sort of like detail on the whole head. And for that, I'm gonna again go into my lightbox. I'm gonna select this Leathery Skin 15, double click again, and I'm gonna change this to spray. So now if I start going over here, you're gonna see how we get this very nice leathery effect on the whole like bull's head. So let's start adding this, just adding the general like texture to it. Now again, remember all of this that I'm doing right here, this sort of detail, this sort of effect, this is like the sprinkles on a cake. So it doesn't matter how nice your like high frequency detail looks if you have a very horrible primary and secondary form. That's why it's very important to spend enough time working on all of the forms of your character before jumping in this sort of stuff. And as you can see, these are really like fine details which look good, I'm not gonna lie, they look okay. See this thing right here? The horn is intersecting with the ear. Can we fix that? Yes, of course. I'm gonna press Shift D to go all the way down to the first subdivision level, and I'm just gonna move the ears forward a little bit so that they're no longer intersecting. There we go. And you press D again to jump all the way back. So as I was mentioning, the detail that we're adding here, like the high frequency detail, it's really important because it's going to break up the shine of the skin and it's going to give you a nice little effect here. However, you don't want to abuse it, and you want to make sure that the form and the character that you're doing so far looks very nice without it. If it looks nice without it, then once we add it, it's going to be even better. So I'm going to start using my dimming standard now to add those kind of wrinkles that would be pretty much impossible to add with pure alpha. So again, this is where the artist's hand really comes into play, because we can really go in here and start adding things that would be very difficult to add with just like traditional alpha. So very, very softly, I can start adding this texture and these effects that again would be quite difficult to do. Let me look for a little bit more reference. Let's go for bull face. There we go. I want to see the texture on like the nose and stuff, and you can see that the texture on the nose, it's a little bit different. It's like shiny and more not as leathery, more a little bit like pores or something. So again, I'm gonna go into BST standard brush. Let's go into the light box, and I do believe we have this sort of like a bumpy skin, or even this scaly skin might work. I think this leathery skin might work actually. So I'm gonna grab this one, but I'm gonna change this to drag direct, so that way we can really change. See how we can change the texture on this area by following along like the lines of the mouth and stuff. There we go. Nice, nice, nice. I really like that. That's looking good. Now, there's a lot of alphas online. Some people share their alphas freely, so always be in the lookout for those kind of offers. And there's other people that will sell their alphas, but they're quite nice alphas, and it's a good investment, because if you're going to be doing a lot of certain types of characters, then you might be using a lot of certain types of alphas, and that will be, of course, very, very good for us. I'm gonna carve in a little bit more here on the eyes, so I'm gonna be a little bit more aggressive on the wrinkles. Always doing the crisscross technique, of course. Like we don't want to keep it like super line heavy. We always want to like blend things around. There we go. See how we're adding those sort of effects, and that's giving us way more like visual interest throughout the whole character. Nice. Let's take a look at some reference here. There we go. And I'm trying to see if there's like any specific thing I want to look up for. But I don't see any, like, I was trying to see if there's, like, pores or something. If you want to do pores are also really good. Again, I'm not sure if this is going to work for this one. Let's try it. But we have, like, this bumpy skin right here. Double click. And we could add, like some pores. I've seen more of this in, like, cats and stuff, so I'm not sure if it's going to work on this guy. But, yeah, there's a lot of things you can do. Like, if we want to add a couple more pores here and there, I don't think it's a bad idea. Here's where, again, details or specific things about the character could really come into play as well. Like, let's say he has like a scar on this side of the face. So I'm going to press X. I'm going to show you how to do one very nice scar. I'm going to draw the scar with my mask. As you can see here, I'm using Control and just dragging across to draw this scar. And then with my clay buildup, I'm going to build up a little bit of volume on this area. This is called a keloid scar. Probably you have one of them. I have a couple of them on my knees from when I was a kid, and you would like scratch your knee, and that's where the skin just like forms on top of it, and you get this sort of stuff. If you want a more like a traditional cut, then the diamond standard usually works fine. Like maybe you want to have like a gap over here, like something. Lips usually get like this sort of like crackling effect from like an injury or something. So again, this is where you break symmetry and you start changing things around. Now for the horns, we can do something similar. I'm gonna go standard brush, a drag rect, but I'm gonna change this to alpha 60, which is gonna give this sort of effect. Now I'm gonna keep this really low in intensity because I really wanna have a lot of texture, right? So as you can see, since we're gonna be repeating this texture quite a bit, I need to keep it low so that it doesn't feel like overwhelming. So very important that we do this in this way, so that we get these nice little fibers that we would normally see on like on ramps and stuff. And now we turn around and we do similar technique. We're gonna have to do this a couple of times. Important factor here: do not change the size of your brush. Remember, when you change the size of your brush, the size of the detail is also gonna change, and that's something that you don't really want, because you're gonna start getting like either super big effects or super small effects. There we go. Let's go down here, and again, see how nice this looks. Very important that we're using drag rect, and we're dragging roughly at the same size for every single stroke. That's gonna ensure that the detail is consistent as well. So very important that we keep it like this. Keep it consistent. There we go. That's it. It's gonna give us a nice little detail there on the horns. And even though we have that detail, that doesn't mean that we can't keep on sculpting. So for instance, if you really like the ridge that we have over here, I can continue detailing that ridge and really like pushing that form. Like I can go here with diamond standard again and like really make sure that the ridge reads as a ridge, right? So see how that starts looking a little bit more intense. And I'm not gonna get tired of saying this, guys. Take your time. Take your time. We make these videos in this way so that it's easy to digest and to understand the main things about the work. But me doing this in like 40-50 minutes doesn't mean that you will be doing that the first time around. So make sure to practice. Make sure to take your time. Make sure to do several of this. Try a cyclops. Try a goblin. Try an orc. Like use the same techniques that you just learned here with this nice little what's the word? This nice little minotaur, and try your hand at something more different. I'm gonna use trim dynamic here to sharpen the hair a little bit. I don't want this to look like sausages, so I'm gonna sharpen a little bit of the pointy end there, just to add a little bit of variation to the whole thing. And that's it. This is pretty much it. We should name this guy, right? He's just missing a name, and he's gonna become a character in one like fantasy game or something. But yeah, this is pretty much it, guys. This is the end result for our very nice Minotaur chapter. We're gonna jump now onto chapter number 3, and in chapter 4. And in chapter 4, we're gonna be taking a look at something called Sea Modeler, which is a completely different way of sculpting. We're gonna leave creatures behind for a little bit. We're gonna come back to them later on. But make sure to practice. Make sure to continue working on this one. One of the main mistakes that a lot of students make, I did this myself when I was a student, when I was learning from tutorials, is to just watch the tutorial and not do the work. It kind of seems like you did the work because you've been seeing the whole process, and your brain kind of interprets that as you doing the job, but you haven't done anything. You need to get your Wacom tablet, your tablet or whatever, and you need to do the job, okay? Do the work, practice, get better, and then I'll see you back on the next chapter, okay? That's it for now, guys. I'll see you back on the next one. Bye-bye.